I want to ask about Eero Pakarainen. What are you expecting out of him tonight, and is he a guy that you have to ease back in the lineup?
Second part of the question, yeah, of course. The only hockey he's played, obviously, is in the American League, and even there, it took him a little while to get going. By the last game he played, he started to feel right. So we don't have high expectations for him, but yet we expect him to contribute to the game. Players may have a tendency to give you more in game one than they do in games 3 and 4, just because they're excited about being back. And we could use that spark when he's playing well. He's an aggressive forechecker, turns pucks over, willing to play physical, and he's got a deceptive shot, a pretty heavy shot, a heavy release, and can be effective that way. I can hear you.
Speaking of shots, Drake Caggiula has a pretty good shot. A few of his teammates are saying how they've noticed it in practice, trying to encourage him to use it more. Is on the wing now. Is there opportunity, you think, for him to be more of a shooter playing there?
We're going to find out. That's his natural position. He's played there in the past, and you go back to his college career, he scored a lot off the wing, coming down and finding that hole. I think you tend to have the puck in the middle more than you do on the wing. But you're likely looking to dish it off. So maybe he'll get more shooting opportunities than he's had in the past. But I think there's more offense in Drake. I think there's plenty more offense in Drake. And like some other players on our team, he's got to start producing and finishing every now and then so that we get some secondary scoring.
Is Pouliot just day-to-day, and is Russell still day-to-day, or is that longer?
Pouliot is, I guess he would be day-to-day, yeah. Okay. And Russell is dealing with a lower body injury. It's hard to predict the time frame. He's had this injury before this year. So, it's hard to predict his time frame. We'll call it day-to-day. Hopefully it doesn't turn into week-to-week, but he is skating today, so that's a good sign.
What do you want to see from Jordan Eberle this time around with Connor McDavid that you maybe haven't seen in the past?
Well, we wouldn't if we were playing the way we were prior to the All-Star break. We wouldn't be making lineup changes. We liked what was happening with a lot of the lines, including Ebbs and Nuge, but we haven't been playing there. So it's not just about Jordan getting up there with Connor. It's about shaking everybody up and getting more out of them. But Jordan, when he was playing with Connor and it wasn't working, and then he went into that funk, he wasn't getting to the spots he needed to get to score. He got very desperate there for a while. There was a lot of talk in the media community and in our locker room about getting him going, and he did some things that allowed him to score again, going to the blue paint, getting opportunities, was ringing shots off the post. In my opinion, I haven't seen that from him over the last 5 or 6 games, and it's time to get back to that. Maybe Connor can help him.
So further to that point, Peter just spoke and did an availability and, certainly said there's a plan here in terms of the perception maybe, and some of the fans might think maybe there needs to be some cavalry coming in, but are there not internal solutions that could assist in that process and maybe alleviate the pressure on the manager at this stage?
Yeah, it's interesting, the trade deadline talk, and we're 2 weeks away from it. It has changed so dramatically in my 2 years here. Last year at this time, everybody's, who are you selling, where are these guys going? Now we're talking about adding pieces. It's such a big swing. In both cases, though, there are players in your own lineup that have to produce more and can be considered acquisitions if they get themselves going. I think of 3 in particular: Luch, Luch, Eberle, and Nugent Hopkins. If those 3 just get going the way they're capable of going on a consistent basis, that's like acquiring some pretty good players. And, on the other hand, you could bring Wayne Gretzky back, and if those 3 or 4 players don't produce on a regular basis the way they're capable of, it doesn't matter. So we're looking internally as a staff, and I think that's maybe what your question angle was. We're looking internally at ways that we can try and get a few others up and running. Forget about what's coming from the outside. Let's make what we have here better and get them producing the way they can.
Todd, earlier in the season with the new building, the ice seemed to be a little bit of an issue. Where is it at now? Is it still an issue?
That's a hard question to answer. When you haven't played well here at home in the last few games, it'd be a lot easier to answer when you're winning 5-1 or 5-2. But I still hear players, and in fact, I catch myself a little bit at times mumbling or grumbling about it. It's got a ways to go, but our building is no different than a lot in the National Hockey League this year. There's talk all over the place about the ice quality, and with that being said, the league has very capable and very qualified people that are participating with each of the teams to make it as playable as possible. It's almost an art in its own, and a lot of factors go into it, but we're working hard to try and get ours into tip-top shape.
Two things with Jordan's game, Todd. One, it seems he'll come down the wing and he's always looking to button hook for somebody, and whereas in previous years he'd have the ability to beat guys wide and then go to the net. So how do you get him to get back to that? And then number two, his footwork and some of his shots hasn't happened lined up. So even if he's in a good shooting lane, he's not there to take the shot. Is that something you worked on with the shooting drills yesterday?
Well, we're talking about technical things and situations that may arise 3 or 4 times. In the past, Jordan's been able to drive wide. We've seen it in highlight reels. I think his first goal in the league in Calgary, I still remember seeing it all the time. What happens over time is players have a tendency set to their game, and teams adjust and they learn how to check it. And when Jordan is turning up or pulling up, maybe he feels like he can't get there, or else he's choosing not to, one of the two. I would tend to believe it's more of the first one because of how teams are playing him now. And the shot part of it, over the last 5-6 years that he's been in the league, the defending areas and the shot blocking and the layers of people in the way has gone up dramatically. It may not show in pure numbers as far as blocks go, but what you visually see when you get the puck is a little different now than it was 6, 7, 8 years ago. You can look up now and see a wall. So it's sometimes being too precise, holding on to it a little too long, and that wall gets thicker and deeper. But we've talked about some of these things. Offensively, as a group, you can score in your outnumbered rushes. You can score on secondary chances in the blue paint, deflections, tip-in screens. You can score off face-off plays, and you can score on the power play. I don't know if there's many other opportunities to score, a little bit off the cycle and that type of stuff. But when you evaluate our team and Jordan and whoever else we're talking about, we haven't scored off an outnumbered rush in ages, and we've had many of them because we're too cute. Our secondary tip-ins, deflections, screens, getting to loose pucks around the paint hasn't been strong. So we addressed that this week. Our face-off numbers are what they are, but we still should get some opportunities in the offensive zone where we're winning. We haven't taken advantage of that, and then certainly the power play needs to be better. So from an offensive perspective, there's some areas that we've addressed over the last few days. I've kind of gone on from your technical question with Jordan, but
Speaking of the power play, Clefbaum and Sekera, by moving them from each unit, what different look does Clefbaum maybe add to the number one or vice versa?
Passer. Sekera is more of a puck mover. It's more of a lob. Clefbaum's more of a shot. Teams are overplaying Connor and Leon right now, and therefore maybe Clef has some, has a lane from the top. Clefs are one guy that scores from a distance and has range to his shot. So maybe that makes a little bit of difference. And in turn, it may open up Letestu, who early in the year had a number of shooting opportunities, which he has had on our power play. He just hasn't been polished enough to take advantage of them. Yep.